Hi, Donna.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay. So far, it's just us.
Yes, I was. That was what I was saying until I looked up and saw it was muted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Remind me, were you one of the people who participated in the workshop sessions last fall for the South LA Black Cultural District? One was at the Wolfendale. I don't remember seeing you though.
I wasn't there.
Was not there.
No, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. Well, I put on the agenda for tomorrow night, but now having a little trouble getting the people who wanted to be on the agenda to actually show up. Thank you. A brief presentation about the proposal.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm trying to find anyone who was there besides me, because while I can do the presentation, I kind of feel the board doesn't need to keep hearing me drone on. Do you know what I mean? So, but I mean,
the people who are involved should at least step out.
yes, right. No, that's correct. But the main driver person at LA Commons is on a plane today, actually moving to New York. So he probably arrived around now. So tomorrow's his first day in his presumably new apartment. So I just don't know if he's gonna be able to. And then
Yeah.
and then what's interesting is, and I know I'm being recorded, so I'm trying to be careful.
Yeah.
Several of the other people who were involved peripherally, like I have been involved, but who are very engaged in Black culture in South LA, have all sort of said, oh, somebody else should do it. Same thing I'm saying. So, I mean, so so they know about it and have participated in it and have the material just as I do. So I don't know, I'll probably just create a PowerPoint presentation, and if I can't get anyone, I'll just do it.
It
That's
beats not doing it at all.
Correct.
The
And
person who's gone to New York, do they have a suggestion of someone to take over?
I haven't even talked to him. Oh, not take over. Apparently he's gonna be working remote.
Just for now.
Yeah, he's gonna be working remote. I mean, I talked
To fill in
I
for.
talked to someone else at LA Comments, and she is not able to come tonight, but explained why I hadn't heard from him. And because he was busy packing, because he's moving his whole life to New York. Anyway, I'm sympathetic, but he's really the person who's been working on this steadfastly for about 5 years. So he's the right guy. But this is just a 10-minute, in other words, it doesn't need the right guy, it just needs a person. But it's not you either, because you weren't there. Anyway. It'll probably
another.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I interrupted.
Well, he can, someone could do the 10-minute presentation, and then he could set up another time when he has availability to,
Sure. And when there's more information to impart.
to share.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, so I do not know how many people are coming tonight. I know that Heckman is not likely to be here. And I think Teresa went to Ohio, and Michael Kimbrough is here.
Okay.
So I think we'll just start the meeting. I talked to some Harvard Heights folks because the main agenda item is Harvard Heights. But I have a few other updates. Hi, Michael. Anyway, we'll start the meeting at 7:05.
Okay, I just
Well, this might be a very brief meeting.
okay.
And that's okay.
Well, I'm arranging tickets for Magic Mountain tomorrow, so the earlier the better.
What do you mean you're going to Magic Mountain tomorrow? Aren't you coming to the board meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, but the board meeting's at 7:00.
6:30.
Yeah, right. That's not the way we do it. What we do is we get there at first light when the park first opens. We go all the way. We go all the way to the back of the park and work our way forward.
Wow. And you actually to get through.
Yeah, and then by 2:00 or 3:00, when the lines start to be 35 and 40 minutes long, we've been on 5 or 6 or 7 rides and we come home.
Right, and this is for the grandchild, right?
No, this is me and my daughter, my 13-year-old. We do coasters.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
so
is tomorrow a holiday or just
for tomorrow's a Jewish holiday. Tomorrow's Yom Kippur. Schools are closed.
Oh, okay.
So it should be light crowds at the amusement park, and right. I'm negotiating now with one of my daughter's classmates. She takes classes with, and I think they're going to sleep over, and we'll get out of here around 8:30 tomorrow morning. Get to the park at 9 or 9:30 whenever it opens, and have a day.
You have a good plan. That's a great
plan. Just don't forget, we're starting the meeting early because we have
6:30. I know. Yeah.
So we have to leave. So
what's going on? They've got something that starts at 9 exactly, I guess.
No. Actually, it's some combination of they have to reset the room for the morning, and the person who's the staff member at night has to get on an airplane that night. Like she has a 10:00 flight.
Oh.
There's got to be, so we just have to be out of there.
That's fine. We'll help. I'll help you. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll probably just order some pizza and not even a salad. I mean, you know what I mean? Just make it real. Not unlock the closet with all of our stuff. Just bring the plates and napkins in. I mean, I think, Hunter saying have nothing at all. That's a possibility. I might have nothing at all.
Okay. Well, whatever.
When you feed people, they're more focused.
Well, I know that, but we just have to clean up so quickly tomorrow and get out.
Well, pizza's easy. We just fold up the boxes and either take them with us or
That's what we do. We have to take the boxes with us.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
fine.
It is 7:06. We've been recording all this time, but we haven't convened our meeting. So I'm gonna go ahead and convene the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting of UNNC and say hello. My name is Laura Myers. I am the chair of the Planning and Zoning Committee. And I live in Angeles Vista and have been in the UNNC area 40 plus years. Anyway, if each of you can introduce yourself, and I am going to share the screen with our agenda while you do that. So starting with Michael, I guess.
Michael Kimbrough, I'm a UNNC board member representing District 3, I believe it is. I'm the sole chair of a 2-chair district. So we're looking for an additional chair. I'm a voting member and I'll be voting tonight. I guess that's all.
Yes, and Donna.
Hi, Donna Jones from District 3, West Adams Avenue. And I am available to vote.
Okay, so as you can see with a posted agenda, in case anyone is watching on YouTube, item 1 was this welcome call to order, introductions, voting affirmations, and then a review of our standing rules for committee stakeholder voting participation. And the simple rule is that UNNC appoints chairs of its committees, but otherwise we have our committee structure is wide open and to all of our stakeholders and really to anybody else. But in order to vote or to make motions, anyone who's a stakeholder at a committee meeting may do so. Excuse me. The definition of a stakeholder is someone who lives in, works in, attends school, or is the parent of a child who attends school in, owns a business, owns property, attends church, and or participates in a nonprofit 501c3 charitable organization with a brick and mortar address within the UNNC boundaries. So all of us live in. Oh, gosh, it's doing just fine until a moment ago. Anyway, so the agenda is shared. The next item will be general public comments on anything not on tonight's agenda. Item 3 is a new case just filed regarding the old Pacific States University, which is on the corner of Western and Cambridge, but extends the buildings that they own extend into the residential zone. And they're proposing to, I'm not sure if it's still the same college, but the college that's there is proposing to change several of the buildings, which are primarily homes that have been adaptively reused for this educational purpose, change them to daycare in the residential zone. So they need a conditional use permit. So that's that. We'll talk about it a little more. And then number 4 is a couple of status updates on recent developments, meaning proposed things to build as opposed to developments in the world. And then number 5 would be an update on SB 79. And that would depend, we'll get there if it's just us 3, if you don't know what's going on, and any follow-up to previous cases. So I'm going to stop the share and ask if there are any general public comments on any item not on tonight's agenda. And hearing nothing, I'm going to move on to this case. I will move on, and I'm sorry the folks from Harvard Heights are not here, but it's just the way it is. Hang on. Now
So Laura, quick question.
Yeah.
If Donna and I had not shown up tonight, what would you have done?
I would have to sit here till 7:30 and then leave.
Okay.
I mean, I have 30 minutes. I have to give it 30 minutes. Okay, so but again, we can get through this meeting pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So, and again, it's unfortunate the folks from Harvard Heights are not here, but the process is just beginning, so we'll have a chance. Essentially what I'm showing you is a site plan for all of the buildings for the university or college. It's a business college. And they are proposing, if you can see at the top, building A, building B, that's at the top of the plans. And then on the sort of middle to right side of the plans, building C, all three of those buildings, they're proposing changing them to daycare. And then they're also proposing that some of the land just above where it says convert existing two-story adult business college, building C, just above that is also being proposed for like a play area. They need a conditional use permit because the building B and C are in the residential zone of Harvard, of Harvard Heights.
What's that cross street, Mark?
Western is on the left.
Yes.
Western's on the left as you look at it. And the east would be a little ways down, it'd be Oxford. So it's between Western and Oxford. But it's on the north side of Cambridge. Cambridge runs parallel to Venice.
So we're 1 block north of Venice?
Just a little bit north of Venice, 1 block
Okay.
north.
Okay.
And it starts at Western, which is commercial. So the two buildings, the buildings that are on the western side are commercial. They're perfectly fine to stay as business college or change to daycare, either way, because it's a commercial zone. But it's the two easterly buildings, B and C, that they need a conditional use permit. So the kind of issue I see, and I mean, the only issue I see, and again, I just don't know if the folks in Harvard Heights have other issues, but the main issue that I see is that they're not providing in their description or these plans any methodology for children drop off or pickup.
Mm.
So you wouldn't want to be dropping off kids age 1 to 5 outside the premises. You'd want to be dropping them off inside the premises.
Mhm.
But as you can see, that parking lot, they're not showing any circulation. So that's, the main thing that I see is potentially an issue. And since nobody is here from the neighborhood, I don't know what else I can address. I mean, the other thing is that we UNNC have received all of the material hard copy, but it is not yet posted online in the planning department website. So we're really at the earliest stage and probably don't need to take any sort of action at this point, other than I probably would like you to authorize me casually to be able to reach out to the planner and ask the question about about drop off.
Laura, why don't you ask the planner about the drop-off areas? Could you think you could do that?
I think I can. Donna, what do you think?
I totally agree. I think that age group, those of us who have used preschools, is a walk-in and check-in, sign in or something. So something has to be accommodated.
Right. Okay. Well, that's what I need to ask them. Essentially.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I'm going to stop the share on this. And then the next item is status updates on recent developments. I have two. One is, I want to show you a picture. You might remember this project. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the corner of Washington Boulevard and Norton. So on the north side of Washington, across from the 10th Avenue Shopping Center, and just across the street from what used to be Eureka Cafe.
Oh, their design is horrible. Have you seen the balconies?
Okay, well, first of all, here's the design that was approved.
Right.
This design I'm just saying, yes, I've seen the balconies. This design, the orange color is actually a brick facade. It was approved with the material being brick. A facade brick, not a building built of brick. But I don't, it sounds like, Michael, you've driven by it. Donna, have you driven by it?
I
All
go
the
by it
time.
every day.
Yeah.
So you know it's not brick, it's instead teal green stucco.
I'm
It
not
doesn't
bothered
even
by
look anything like that to me.
Hey, I'm not bothered by the colors personally. I'm bothered by the design of the balconies. They've got those look like Instahot units, or what do they call the waterless, tankless water heaters?
They put tankless water heaters on those balconies. That's correct.
Horrible. It's horrible.
What?
Yeah, and yeah, that it's
That sounds like a hazard.
okay. Well,
Mm.
that's the problem. It's that, so here's I'm going to share the approved plans. So again, this is just one version of it, but you see how it's brick?
Mhm.
Right, so the material was to be brick. And it was never a design I was particularly fond of,
Mm.
but they met with the community multiple times.
Ooh.
They actually have on their website a description of the building saying it's got using brick. It's a nod to trying to evoke the historic character of Washington Boulevard, blah, 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 blah. And yet it's not brick. And you can see on this, it says BR, which stands for brick.
Okay,
BR.
let me understand something. Are you taking exception to the finish? And what's your goal?
Well, and I'm taking exception to the tankless water heaters on the thing. Well, mostly, remember, this is the Washington Boulevard. We have worked since the year 2004. We being UNNC, but also the Community Redevelopment Agency and really the planning department. We were working towards having a specific plan for Washington Boulevard. Donna probably remembers this. And it was a long process. And then this alternative ordinance was adopted by City Council citywide, the CPIO, Community Plan Implementation Ordinance.
Mhm.
So what the planning department said was, when we were doing the community plan update, and Caesar's just entering the room, so I might show the images again. What the planning department said to the community in large scale meetings and in writing, why don't we, instead of finishing the Washington Boulevard specific plan, let's incorporate all of it into a standalone CPIO for Washington Boulevard for this section. So it's this Washington Boulevard CPIO is not the same as all of the other CPIOs on the commercial corridors throughout the community plan area. It's its own thing. So the brick material, among other things, was a nod to sort of the specific, not specific plan, but specific Washington Boulevard CPIO. Caesar, just catching you up, I had shown, I'll do it again. I had shared a image, which I hope you can see.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the building that was approved on the corner of Newton and Washington Boulevard, as approved with a brick facade. And as Michael is gonna tell us, with these kind of balconies that were meant as recreational open space. The building the wrapper has come off the building, and let me stop the share. And the wrappers come off the building, and instead of being a brick facade, it's a teal green stucco. And not only that, on the balconies, they now have installed tankless water heaters. So right by where the door, you open the door and there is the water heater. So it's not even on the other side. And what Hakeem has explained, I was in a different meeting, which we'll talk about in a moment, for a different project. but we did a side note that apparently based on new ADA requirements, balconies may not even be usable. And a lot of the developers are switching them backwards to Juliet balconies because you can't readily roll a wheelchair out and turn around and get back in. So anyway, you surely wouldn't be able to use a wheelchair and knock your head on the tankless water heater. So it's a bit of a problem. Anyway, I just wanted to update this thing. So I wrote to the planners today, and it's sort of inconclusive because they hadn't seen the changes. And Kyle Winston, who's the senior planner, said, well, LADBS might not have flagged this as being a problem. And I said, well, the determination letter is very clear that it's approving the plans and the materials, and that if there's any changes, planning is supposed to approve it. Michael, you have your hand up.
Yeah, a couple of things that occurred to me. I drove by, no, this is a couple of months. I've been waiting for the wrapper to come down. I was
right. When did the wrapper came down? What, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I'd say a month more or
Yeah.
less. I remember driving my daughter to home from school, and I kept saying, I want to show you something. And the tankless water heaters on the balcony is an absolute eyesore. Absolute eyesore. And it is going to take away from their rentability, which is where I question it. Who would make that decision unless it were last minute? And was it in light of maybe a space requirement within the unit itself that was for a conventional water heater that somehow they decided to change out either to save money and or something else? I don't know. Yeah. It's too complicated to get into. Do you have an answer for that?
I don't know. And honestly, I don't know if they're gas or electric. Because gas, it would definitely take away from to some extent, the ability to use that space. I mean, you couldn't put a little hibachi barbecue out there if it's gas, but not that the owner would want his tenants to do that.
Well, beyond that though, I had to question myself into what is the thinking process, or who made the decisions to end up at this place? And that's where I kind of started like, what's going on?
Well, that was why I reached out today to the planner to kind of ask that a version of that question, but because it's really a policy question.
Let me also interject that the decision to go with a stucco finish above and beyond the brick facade could be money.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
But if they had done a stucco surface with the brick color, then it wouldn't have stood out so much. It's also teal green. I mean,
I understand that, but okay. So at the end of the day, I guess the question that we have to take on for planning and zoning is, where do we and what can we do about this? Do we just have to take it? Or
well, I feel that there's a disconnect. I mean, in this case, my best guess is there's a big disconnect between building and safety and the planning department.
Oh, because, of course there is.
Because they didn't, well, the building and safety has not signed off on the exterior lathing anyway yet. But they have certainly, I've checked the building and safety record, they've certainly gone out 3-4 times, you know, with corrections and this and that and the other. And I think for me, in this case, the broad issue, you know, color choice, color is reversible anyway, but the part of the CPIO, and it was important part, is that the buildings on Washington Boulevard are to be they need to look commercial, right?
Oh, I agree with you, Laura.
To not just be mixed use. They need to look like they belong on a commercial corridor. And by this color choice, not the material choice, but the color choice, it looks absolutely purely residential. And Kyle said, yeah, but they still have the retail space. And it's like, I'm not giving you an objection over function, right? And we don't know. Hopefully there will be a cafe. I don't know. I mean, well, in that little row of eateries.
Let me speak to this. The building that was built on 4th and Washington that has the brick facade next to the high school, Okay, they're the good developer who
They're a
listens
good
to.
developer.
Okay,
They did
they're-
Fourth and
okay.
Jefferson
They
as
did, yeah,
well.
they did great. Now we have a guy at 10 who obviously is obviously over budget because he's made these last minute choices based on his pocketbook. And we are raising objections over not just the surface, but the choice of color, which I don't think
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm not sure that's the actual whole story.
Okay.
I saw a permit changing the name of the owner. I feel
Oh.
that the original owner halfway through sold it to someone else who had his or her their own aesthetic choices. And again, I think the disconnect here is that LADBS did not note that the plans were being diverged from and did not send it to the planning department for further approval.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right.
Suspect if the planning department, the way they've been working lately, had seen it, they would have approved it, and I'd still be mad, but at least that would have not been missed. And then the second issue is the stupid, excuse me, I know we're being taped, the tankless water heaters on the front-facing Washington Boulevard balconies. Because I'll tell you honestly, I never even wanted balconies on Washington Boulevard because it makes the building look residential and it should look commercial. But given they got that approved and got it approved as open space, in lieu of other open space, I just don't know that it's appropriate to have tankless water heaters there.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, it can't be appropriate, but what teeth do we have to make?
Oh, none. No, we got no teeth here. I was just bringing, it's like, I feel like the teeth we have has to do with trying to lobby the planning department to put more teeth in their determination letters.
Okay. All right. So we're policing after the fact.
Well, they have a determination letter that said, do it this way, don't do it that way. They have to comply with the plans that are stamped, that if there's any changes to the plans or materials, it has to go back to planning. I mean, it says all those words, but apparently there's no teeth. I mean, nobody's going to ask them to take the stucco off and replace it with fake brick facade. No one's going to ask them before the building even opens to repaint it. Because I'm usually the first coat of stucco, Michael, as you know, is embedded color. It's not like somebody went up paintbrush. It's that's the color of the stucco. So it's the building we're stuck, as it were, with. And I don't know about the tankless water heaters. It would
I think that's the only place we may be able to ding them.
Yeah.
It seems like a safety issue.
Yes.
Yes.
And an
I don't even know how they're allowed to have done that. Is anybody watching them? I know they kept the curtain over it a long time. Really?
Those water heaters weren't in place when the curtain was first erected. So they did all that under the concealment of
yes, it was concealed. They just unwrapped it, like I said a few weeks ago.
Let me say this: were I in the position of the owner and I was faced with a decision, I might submit an as-built to the building department based on a hardship by blah 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 blah, which is forcing me to move this tankless water heater, which in effect is more efficient, and you can make that argument, to the location in which it's in order to achieve some kind of goal. Now, the sacrifice is no one's going to want that to use those balconies, and it's going to diminish the value of the rental property. So,
well, you can't overlook safety issues.
No, you can't.
They keep us, the residential house they catch you on all kinds of things. For them to allow that building to go with those water heaters there, I don't see how they could get away with it.
Okay, so
go ahead.
We don't know what happened in the world of building and safety.
Right.
But I do know this.
They stopped working when COVID started.
Okay, fine. So did the construction of this building. But not all of the units have balconies. So that means some of the units have their tankless water heaters indoors.
They don't all have balconies.
They do not all have balconies.
Here's the thing, Laura. they would have had to at some point roughed in and gotten an approval for roughing.
I
And so
understand.
before they did the final fixture connection. So there's where it should have been caught.
Well, and also now that I said that, I realize I actually haven't driven down the Norton side to see if they've pasted the other tankless water heaters simply on the outside of the building, because no, you're laughing, but I realize the huge ginormous building that's on St. Andrews, the new one just north of Venice, they did do that. Up and down the whole building, there's tankless water heaters, on outside each unit.
Wow.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's update number one.
Okay.
And then update number two is there've been a couple of meetings with a small group of people rather than a big public meeting regarding 1638 Bronson. So that, to remind all, that's the proposed 35 unit building on the corner of Bronson, and it's called Johnny Cochran Way, but it's 17th Street, right across the street from Johnny Cochran. So the portion of Bronson south of that is all single family historic houses, and it's R1, identified historic district, blah, 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 blah. The buildings north of it are small, 2-story post-World War II apartment buildings, also identified separately as a different historic building district. And then the street behind it, next street east, is also single family with, old homes. So this building was designed as an ED1 project, but it's not eligible for ED1 because they're demolishing a 4-unit bungalow court building with, existing with tenants. So apparently the developer has been scrambling to take his round, is it a square peg in a round hole, or a round peg in a square hole?
Yeah.
He's trying to put his peg into another hole. And he identified AB 2334, state law passed in 2021, late 21, effective 22, that does allow for unlimited density for infill projects. But what happened is that you have to read the legislation, and seemingly nobody did. That particular piece of legislation actually only allows requesting 4 incentives plus height plus that unlimited density, so total of 6. But they're asking for the unlimited density, the height, and 7 or 8 more.
Wow.
So they're not eligible for AB 2334. AHIP, which is the city of LA, most recent, I don't even know what it stands for, AHIP. AHIP allows 7 incentives, but that includes the density bonus and the height. So that'd be 2 plus 5 more, and then they still have too many. And some of them are from the Arlington Heights Character Residential CPIO, which has a lot of shalls. You shall do this, you shall not do that. So some of the things they're asking for are the shall, you shall not, you cannot do. So I had read the legislation, sent sort of the list of things they're asking for. Then the other problem is AB 2334 says you would have to have however many units you're demolishing, you have to replace them in the same size. So the particular buildings, 4 units, is 650 square feet per unit, and they're showing all of the units on this one are 420 or less. So they on their plans are not showing 4 units that are 650 or 630 or whatever it is. They're not showing that either, and they haven't submitted a housing report about the income of the current tenants. So AB 2334 also says they have to set the income level to the level of the current tenants. So we had this meeting, And what the council office is doing is basically submitting a lot of what I wrote. It was very casual. I said, oh, please rewrite it as proposed alternative findings to help mitigate and make a project that fits better in the neighborhood. And then we're also telling the neighbors, there's going to be a project there. We're just hoping to make it a better project because, you know, the city cannot tell them no project. They just need to tell them you need to do a project that is consistent with the law. Michael?
Yeah, quick couple of questions on that. So they have the entitlements to build something.
No, they don't. Their case is on hold. They have not done, there's like so much they have not submitted because again, they paid someone to design an ED1 project and they're not eligible for ED1. So they submitted it, but it's very incomplete application. So it's on hold.
So it's going to be a public zoning and ZA hearing?
There will not be a ZA hearing. If they follow the law, meaning the ordinance that established the CPIO, they're asking for too many incentives. And while the city might have to say yes, if you ask for more than 3, that's what the CPIO says, more than 3 triggers a commission hearing.
So, okay.
The director doesn't have the right to approve it. It has to go to the commission. But if you have been to planning commission meetings in the last couple of years, by and large, they're being told by the city attorney, properly by and large, that they're not supposed to withhold their approval if it's, you know, reasonable. And if it's, you know, I mean, you know, they don't have a lot of rights to say no, but they have a lot of right. The city has a lot of right to help them massage because the project is wrong. That's the problem for the developer. He, she, whoever they are, just are not reading the laws correctly.
So who's going to make that? Is it the commission that's going to have the jurisdiction to make those calls?
Well, first, the council office is basically telling the planning department, our opinion is that you need to respect what's there, the ordinances that were adopted, whether they're city or legislation adopted by the state. I mean, we're all understanding that there's these laws in place and ordinances in place, but you have to follow them. You can't say, oh, never mind. So that's where we're at.
And it sounds like that's what they're doing. They're bulldozing.
Planning department a lot of times now is saying, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
And that's where we are. So that's why I think there is frustration because even if you read today's LA Times that, you know, developers don't want to build here because there's so much uncertainty. Well, this is one of the uncertainty things. You know, if you read what the plan says and you read what the laws say and you read what ED1 says, for example, you read all of that and you understand it and you turn something in because you just spent $50,000 or $100,000, Michael, you can correct me as to how much it costs. How much does it cost to pay an architect to design a big building? It's more than that, right?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah, it could be. If you spent all that money, you want to know with certainty, if you're following the rules, you can have a building.
But the rules are so interactive. You don't know which side of the fence you're on. And that's the problem you're talking about. Planning is in conflict with building and safety all the time.
Right. But in this case, state law, I mean, in other words, what I keep saying in these little meetings is I do not know why this developer has glommed onto AB 2334. There are so many new state laws. Why this one? What is it that this one is giving them that the other ones don't, but they're not eligible for this one? So what is it that they need to help them get a project that they're eligible for? Right? And at the same time, this is going to stand out. I mean, it's just such an inappropriate location, you know, for the community it'll be one of those that'll be really tall in the middle of a really short neighborhood that is overrun with other traffic issues. I mean, we heard all about it at the
Yes.
other. So I don't know, but I just wanted to update you guys. That's it.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to prevent a building from being built by any means. It just needs to follow all the rules and not just cherry pick the rules to follow. I mean, if there's rules are rules, right? Just follow them.
Yeah, and a project, speaking of projects, you know, the one, Laura, as you go down the hill at Edge Hill, 10th Avenue, the
Yeah,
one that was built right there.
on Montclair,
Yeah,
the one on,
where
yeah,
it had that
it
old
had
building.
yeah, no, that's a very big project, and it was not, it was totally ministerial. The rules there were fine.
Well, what I'm saying is,
Happy,
it looks really good, Laura. It looks.
I know, but that set of buildings,
Uh-huh.
that design, so I'm sort of making a joke. They're taking that design, that's Orion is the developer.
Uh-huh.
That's the design they're trying to plop down the exact same buildings at 27th and Raymond. On Adams, it's the same design as the one that they want to do at 3810 Adams. And there's one other location, Magnolia. So they're taking the same building from the facade, maybe not on the inside, obviously, and just plunking it here and there and again and again. So they're not paying the major architecture design fees over and over again.
Oh, okay.
That's legal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, annoyingly not in care. It's not reflecting character of individual neighborhoods. But that big complex at Montclair and Edge Hill, perfectly within all their rights. You know, it was purely ministerial. And at the time,
Hey,
the prior owner
sorry,
demolished
guys.
the evicted tenants and demolished the existing units, but it was before the state passed any laws, not, you know, about replacement housing and all that. So none of that.
Because it stayed empty a long. The lot
Correct.
over, and I don't even
But they
know.
already have the demolition permits. So it wasn't actually demolished before the state laws were passed, but the demolition permits were in place, so they could demolish. So they just, that was a totally non-discretionary. You never saw it here. You know, we had nothing to do with it, and it does look good. I don't know if it's rented.
I'm not totally sure, but I see cars, they have a parking lot with an automated gate, and people come in and out of there. The landscaping is great. That's one part I like about it. They did take the time. They have flower beds and all kinds of foliage growing and maintained. So that part, a lot of them don't want to do, but it looks really, really good.
Right. And, you know, this same company has a really pretty building on Adams Boulevard, just west of Vermont on the north side. And in this case, it's a ceramic brick facade. It's really pretty. And but community members are really opposed to that one too. Not our, you know, that's east of here, but you know, I know.
And that's the one where they're selling
bedrooms,
aren't they? They're renting bedrooms at like $1,000 each.
Oh, of course. This is Orion. That's what they do. They rent beds. You're saying bedrooms. They rent beds. Some beds are two in a room, bedroom. Wow. Yeah, they rent beds because they build student housing.
Wow.
Well, the Montclair one is probably bedrooms. But yeah,
apartments. It does.
Well, you know, actually, I don't know what the interior design is on Montclair. Most of their buildings, it would be a lot of bedrooms and then a combined kitchen, dining, living room, but at one big, so more like suites, you know, where there's bedrooms and one gathering space. So it's housing for young people, students. On their website, they talk about luxury housing for young professionals. So lots of amenities, but not necessarily lots of communal, what we would think of as family, how families live.
No,
Right.
they have they're preaching to a particular crowd.
Yeah, as is their right. As is
Oh,
their
yeah.
right. As is their right. So anyway, okay, those are my updates. I don't really have any others for the moment. I'm gonna try and get Tom Safran and Associates, and also HOLAS, which is the nonprofit group that's doing the project at 1808 St. Andrews, because both of them are nearing the end. So I'm going to try and get them out sometime really soon to talk about, these projects that they're building and how they overcame, because they both had different stumbling blocks. So I'd like to hear from both of them the same evening, but trying to coordinate, that's not the simplest thing. So
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting to hear their journeys. And the Saffron one is really looking good, I will say. Well, both of them are really looking good, but the one on St. Andrews is a much different project. If you're not familiar, it's 22 units of permanent supportive housing. They retained the historic house-ish, its shape. It's got all new siding that looks like the old siding, and new windows that don't look like the old windows, but we're supposed to. But the inside is like really gutted, and it's small apartments, and then a new apartment building rising up behind, and a shared breezeway and recreation room in between. It's a nice project, but it's very different than the Saffron project, which I think is family housing. So
Sounds
okay.
good.
All right. Number 5 is update regarding SB 79. Actually, don't really have much of an update. It's sitting on the governor's desk. He's either going to sign it, or he's going to veto it, or he's going to not do anything, in which case it's like signing it. And no one's going to know. If he's doing nothing, we won't know what he's doing, nothing, until October 20th. Meanwhile, City of LA Planning Department, at the request of the City Council, has published the maps.
Yeah, I saw it.
Maps. And of most interest, I suppose, to UNNC is that they included the Adams and Crenshaw proposed potential light rail station for the northern extension of the Crenshaw K line. So that's at Adams and Crenshaw. And already there had been lobbying before this map was published, but from folks in like Lafayette Square and Wellington Square, to simply not have that station and just find a more direct route, direct route from Expo and Crenshaw up to the San Vicente and Pico, rather than coming up at Adams and Crenshaw and then having to dive really low to go under the freeway. So, dive lower sooner and just not have a station there. So I think this will just add fuel to that fire, but also would save them a lot of money. So I don't know. But what the map shows is that Wellington Square would essentially lose its R1 zoning. And I was told by Lambert Giesinger that they actually are in the process of either becoming a new HPOZ or expanding the Lafayette Square HPOZ. So Wellington Square being the area north of the freeway and south of Washington, west of Crenshaw and east of West Boulevard. But the other big impact for our community is the avenues would be affected all the way to 8th and maybe even 7th Avenue.
Yeah, that was my question. They weren't, it was not clear if we were going to be within a quarter mile or a half a mile.
Well, the half a mile goes somewhere between 8th and 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And OHR, Office of Historic Resources, is as clueless as the rest of us as to what the meaning is of that last minute amendment that said that local historic districts would still be exempted so long as there's not more than 10% of the resources in the radius. So it's being interpreted in so many different ways because nobody knows exactly what that means. Like select your favorite 10% to be accepted. I don't think that's what it means.
Well, maybe what it means was within the circle of the quarter mile or the half mile, then you do a survey of the number of residences. And if the number of residences that are not HPOZ exceeds 10%, then it falls into
No,
that
it's just
category.
it is the opposite.
Oh,
If
it's
the
the
number of residences, this is my interpretation, but it's if they are more than 10% are designated historic, then the whole thing loses.
That doesn't make any sense.
Of course it doesn't, because you can't be an HPOZ if you only have 10%. You're not even eligible until you hit 61% or more. So it would just depend. So in terms of how it affects the avenues, you'd have to do your half-mile radius because it includes a lot of other spaces, and then count the number of parcels and see if the number of parcels in the avenues total up to less than 10% of the total. But that's only one interpretation. I mean, in other words, it's interpretive, it's not objective.
So Laura, the apartment buildings that are on the south side of Adams, within the radius of the Adams Crenshaw node, those buildings, are they historic? Those apartment buildings?
Some are and some are not.
Yeah, they are great.
Yeah, but no, some are designated, some are not.
Okay. Yeah. So let's assume. Well,
and again, I haven't looked at the whole radius.
No, I'm just looking at it in principle, just in principle. Yeah. That I'm within that node, okay, and my house is historic, and Donna's the same. So, and we're R1, so there should not be any chance that other than the church and the buildings and the apartment buildings that are fronted to Adams in our district, they should only be the parcels that are eligible for multifamily redevelopment.
Okay, you're telling me what should be true. Again, here's the problem. This was done at the last minute. It was not done carefully. And at the moment, there's multiple different interpretations of what this amendment means. So it's a problem. It's probably one of the things that City of LA will litigate on, because I guess I didn't mention that they have voted to authorize litigation. And then beyond that, I can't tell you because they went into session. No, I mean, it's not that I have a secret, it's that they went into private session. So
no, I understand that. But what it means at the end of the day is that probably within our lifetime, this will not be decided.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And again, Scott Wiener's neighborhood or the areas he represents had something to do with it. I know they're historic homes in San Francisco that aren't thinking about not being designated.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in a way, this is a bunch of us, as if we were lawyers, dancing on the head of a pin. Yeah. And I say this because Trump has just transferred our transportation money to some other state. Mm-hmm. So I don't think this K-line extension is moving forward quickly, shall we say? Mm-hmm. But I do think there's probably going to be some serious, again, I don't even know if this law is going to take effect, but, and even if it does, I don't know if things like this one amendment that is so, remember, the state has another law that says laws need to every planning has to have objective standards, not subjective standards. Anything that's subjective, it's a whole different law, but it's a law, doesn't count. So this is so subjective at this point that this piece of it may go away. I don't know if the law takes effect, but it doesn't have an impact on the avenues until and unless there's also the light rail station. So unlike, for example, University Park HPOZ, not in our neighborhood council, but they have not just a station at 23rd and Flower, which then the radius goes all the way, goes 8 or 9 blocks into University Park from the east going west. But Vermont Avenue, the street, they've got the rapid bus. So that's one of the things SB 79 says counts. So they have the entire Vermont corridor, which is their western boundary. And so now you have to go half a mile east there, but it also completely 100% takes out the Adams Normandy HPSA half a mile to the west. So,
Well, you're with Waha. I mean, they're going to lose their minds.
We're going to lose our what?
You're going to lose your mind if they try to alter.
Yeah. The mind. Well, no, it's not the mind that goes. As we've been saying now for 5 years, wearing my other hat, every Monday morning we wake up and we're stepping in more muck and having a hard time getting our feet out of the muck. What can I say? But I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Caesar,
on that one note, but again, I don't think the governor has the ability to line things out. I don't think he can say, I don't like this part, but I like this part. I'm going to sign it, but I'm going to cross this paragraph out. I don't think he can do that.
There's no line item veto on the governor.
I don't think so. I don't know this government stuff that much. I don't think so.
Caesar, are you listening, Caesar?
Caesar's all in, he's probably thinking, oh my God, these people.
Listen, you have to be aware of something.
Sorry.
Why don't they want SB 79?
No, but
I am half listening. Sorry, I was just dealing with my kid right now.
No, right. I want you to understand something. The three of us, other than you, we are all old heads. I had a guy refer to me today at the restaurant as an OG. Okay. So I'm an old guy, and Laura's old like me, no offense, and Donna's older than both of us. So I'm trying to make a point, Caesar. We are arguing for ideals that you are going to inherit, because the problems that we are talking about right now probably won't be solved in the time that we have to serve. And if you're going to do this, you're going to have to pick up the mantle. Because these things are important.
Yeah, I think I'm on the other side of the ideal there, though.
Yeah. Caesar likes SB 79, and
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so well, wait a second. An honest question: do you live in an historic single family residence?
Non-historic. I live in a single family residence near the Crenshaw Expo stop. Yeah.
So it would not bother you to have multi-family high-rise apartment buildings?
No, I love them. I live next to one, and I have so many great neighbors. And
okay, all right, I respect that. I don't agree with you, but I understand. I understand. Yeah. So get out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go the OG way, I think a lot of us have spent a lot of years with dealing with the planning department on utilizing the general plan framework, which specifically calls for a lot of increase in housing, but on the straight lines of the corridors, not in the round circles of radiuses. And so it's like, this is so, from our perspective, like, oh my God, it's just counter to everything that we've worked for all these years, of actually trying to pack our corridors with good housing. And, we're just beginning to get that. And obviously, Caesar, you've been at some of our meetings here where we've got neighbors who don't agree with that either, right? They don't want tall buildings even on Jefferson or Washington. And you can understand why. If they're right next door, they're going to have people looking into their backyard.
If I can interject a point, Caesar, in support of your position, LA is in a transition, and there are multifamily residences interdispersed within our neighborhoods. Those multifamily residences will be transitioned into larger multifamily residences. And I don't think anyone has a problem taking an 8-unit and converting it into a 16 to 24 unit building, if there's parking and all the other peripherals are addressed. I think what we're trying to stop is the incursion of multifamily into the single family residences that have been established over the years. I think that's
Yeah, well,
the tug of war.
I'm not, no, I mean, I think we have a variety of opinions. So,
Okay.
Michael, I don't live in a single family zone neighborhood. I live in a multifamily zone neighborhood.
But you have single family residences dispersed
and
throughout, right?
Apartment buildings. I live in the Angeles Vista. And it was probably the first area of West Adams that got redeveloped in the 60s and 70s because the lots are huge.
Mhm.
I have a 1,000 square foot lot.
How much?
10,000.
That's
Oh,
large. That's
nine,
big.
8.
Yeah,
eight.
we're 8,400 over here.
Yeah, no, these are, Angeles Vista has these huge lots,
Mhm.
they go back 200 to 300 feet depending on which block you're on.
Mhm.
So it got redeveloped, and if you drive up and down, particularly between Venice and Pico, there's lots of very large buildings, only they're not very large the way very large is now. They're just very large for them. Stucco boxes. But I would not necessarily agree with you that the only thing we're fighting for is single family. In fact, I think that's an error. I mean, I think I am much more concerned personally about longtime families losing their housing. When somebody buys an 8-unit building and decides to change it to a 40-unit building.
What happens to the
while
8
that
unit
creates
people?
it creates 40 units, but those 8 families aren't going to be able to live in those units because first of all they'll be long gone, and second of all they'll be much higher rents. These are
Yeah, I think there was a lady that brought up a good point last meeting about like building like units for families that are like there's some ownership. I think I even asked you that last time, like where are the condos? Like why are we not developing condos where people can buy and like
I can
have
answer
ownership?
that.
yeah, because
Condo
Caesar, do you
developments
know
are very
Michael's a
litigious.
developer, right?
Oh, no idea.
Yeah, I
No.
develop real estate. Condo developments are litigious in nature. And so professional consultants, structural and architectural, have a tendency to shy away from them because lawsuits are there to follow, soon to follow.
Right.
And that's been my experience.
Yeah. So here
So my question is because right now, like Mar Vista and like Jefferson, like Playa del Rey, like no that area that just got Playa Vista, I forget, just got redeveloped, and all of that area is like condos, couple
Yes.
apartments here and there, and it's great. Like why can't we have that all throughout the city?
Well, Playa Vista's taken a really, really, really long time because
Right.
I was looking for a house to buy in 1983. I looked in Playa Vista and it was very, very slow. So
Playa
the
Vista
problem
it was swampland in those days. That was the McGuire Thomas partners owned all that land, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was.
Yes.
But the point is, it's really hard to resell condos in many economies. It's just every once in a while it works.
But let's not think about that. Is housing is supposed to be to live in and not supposed to be like, I know our mentality is like our investment, like put it down for
No, well, not investment, but you don't want to lose the money you put in. I mean, if you're
condos don't usually condos hold their value from like
Can I interject a thought for you? And I don't want to make this a long discussion. I looked at a piece of property on Redondo between Washington and Venice on the west side. And Eric Fishburne is a friend of mine. He developed the property and he developed 8 units. And this was probably 6 or 7 years ago when he started the project. And we estimated the value of the condominiums to be anywhere from $1 million to $1,150,000. Now that was 6 or 7 years ago, and I've kept my eye on that property. The appreciative value is less than 10%. It's still reselling at 1.125. There's no appreciation for the property in terms of what you get in a single family residence over the same period of time.
Yeah.
So what you bought it for 6 years ago, you can't sell it for a lot more than that today. So there's no appreciation. So that's
where I'm trying to make the point though, to make like housing shouldn't be like a appreciative asset because then no one wants to lose their primary residence because it's so valuable, you wouldn't want to lose. And I think that's where SB 79 kind of comes in, and you know
Hmm.
how we see housing is like as an asset that appreciates as opposed to having people live in there, like as opposed to just like this is supposed to be a shelter. Um, I don't know.
Hmm.
This is where
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
might.
See, I think, yeah, so, so a couple of things. We do not have a lot of condos within the boundaries of UNNC. We're not at zero. But what it's a couple of hundred units. And that includes the one on Exposition Place. So that's what, 78, 85, something. It's a lot of townhomes.
Where's that?
On Exposition Place by
At-
Degnan, at Degnan.
Oh, okay, okay.
So those are townhomes. I don't know how they're doing one way or the other. And then up on Wilton Place in St. Andrews, I think St. Andrews, between Venice and Pico, there's a couple of, just stacked apartment buildings, only they're condos.
Mm.
So you wouldn't know they're condos, but they are.
Mhm.
And I don't know who, what the values are or anything like that. Then there's a couple of fourplexes, historical, that were converted to condos.
On Adams?
One on Fourth Avenue, north of Washington, and then the one, in the avenues, the one on the
Right.
corner of
Right,
Fifth and Fourth Avenue.
right.
And then what's more maybe exciting is very quietly, there's a growing number of TIC projects, which is tenants in common.
Right.
And those, there's a couple of developers who are buying, older fourplexes or bungalow court apartments and then selling them maybe to the tenants who are there and or to somebody else. So there's like one on my block on Gramercy.
Is that
Don't
like
know.
the old co-op model from back?
It's similar to a
Yeah.
co-op.
Right.
Yeah, but it's called tenants in common. The city doesn't yet have any laws regulating it, so it's easier than doing a condominium tract map. Because you just do it. And I don't think that's gonna last for long, because now that the city knows that these kind of projects are happening, they're trying to develop some laws to regulate them, but so far it's unregulated. Do you remember?
One
there are
more
five-
point, one more point for Caesar. You mentioned Playa Vista. Playa Vista was county jurisdiction, and it was specifically developed around the condominium project model. So the CCNRs, which are covenants, conditions, and restrictions, I think it stands for, were written.
CCNR. Yeah.
CCNRs, and I've done one a long time ago, are specific for the kind of environment that they're trying to build on. And LA is not modeled around that type of development. So you're going to see very few of them. But in
Yeah,
Playa
so
Vista,
I guess that's where I'm getting to. Like, how can we do that in our neighborhood? I like when SB 79 comes, we can try to like model some of that so we can build condos as opposed to apartments.
Yeah, but remember Playa Vista was all open space.
Right.
It had owned
right,
by
right.
Hughes,
And it was 20 years before anything started. I think McGuire Thomas.
40 years. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Oh, it's
No,
been
but
a
I mean,
long
I
time.
was looking at it in 1982 and
Right,
83.
right.
And it wasn't, I mean, some of the housing was good, but there was kind of nothing there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wetlands
drive over there
issues.
now and there's all the mixed use, exciting complexes.
It was wetlands, and there was a whole thing with the environment. It was big. I was working for a large developer on the west side, so I was very aware of watching that come to fruition. And it was Laura's right. It was a long time coming.
Right.
What you see now is not what was there in the 90s. It was
Right.
open
No, I
land.
understand. I've been developed too, so I've been here
Okay.
for a minute.
Yeah, we have to have a chat offline.
Yeah.
Interested to talk to you.
So then I guess yeah, I understand things take a long time.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, let's try to make the city better for the long
Right.
term.
Well, and so there's the company that did the thing on Exposition Place is called the Olson Company. And they had two other large parcels that they were gonna develop in that same area. They like trains. They like to develop near the train. And so they were gonna do the developing on, you know where the 11th Avenue Animal Shelter is?
Yes.
Olson Company owned everything except the animal shelter on
Wow.
11th and 10th Avenue between 36th and Expo. And that
Oh.
was approved as another condominium townhome development. But eventually it was like, it was not gonna pencil out. So they started selling, they sold all the parcels piecemeal to other developers who have not built housing. They're building, as you probably, again, know, it's commercial that they built. And that's across from the dairy project. So the same developer who did the dairy bought some of the Olson's properties, but not all of it. Anyway, so it wasn't gonna pencil out, because that is what was originally planned for that whole little area. It's more condos or townhomes, but ownership, ownership thing. It didn't happen. So it was exciting for, a minute. What can I say? Exciting. Okay, I
This
think,
was fun, guys. I appreciate the opportunity to chat and share our views.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay. I think we have nothing else on this agenda. Yeah, follow up to previous cases, but no. All right,
Well, I've got two 13-year-olds coming, having a sleepover tonight with a
Yep.
Magic Mountain destination first thing in the morning. So I'm going
these
to,
are going somewhere in the morning too.
hey,
Yeah.
Magic Mountain's like a 10K walk. It really is.
Where your thing that counts your steps.
Michael, at least it'll be cool, so you'll be lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do is gonna be fine. In and out will be done by 2:30 or 3 o'clock when the lines start to lengthen. And
That's how
go
you
from
do.
there.
That's how you do Disney World.
Oh,
I did it like 3 times with my kids, so that was.
I've never been to Disney World, so I don't know.
Well,
But
that's what you have to do. Go
Yeah.
early and around noon, leave, have a
Right.
nice dinner,
Lunch.
and then go back at night.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not coming back at night. I'll be at your meeting, Laura. We'll be at our meeting at
Thank you.
6:30. So listen, guys, I'm signing off. This has been educational. Caesar, at some point, maybe we got to have a chat, to educate ourselves. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah, love to.
Okay. Take care,
All right.
guys. I'm signing off.
I'm
Bye,
gonna,
everyone.
I am also
Good
gonna
night.
just adjourn